go.
Let's go. It is Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. Happy Cinco de Mayo, if that's a thing you celebrate. And Big Brother Canada 9 just finished its 20th episode, which was dubbed the Special Eviction. Also kind of the final veto. It was just kind of like they did the eviction Wednesday instead of Thursday. So we're here to talk about that here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting. I'm Dave Mader, joined for 10 weeks in a row with Jaemeel Robinson. How you doing, Jaemeel?
I am okay. We will see. But you know what? I'm hyped. We're almost at the finish line. We're right there. One more step, one more episode, one more night. It's going to be great. And I'm
2-hour finale.
I'm amped to talk to you.
There's so much. Yeah. Who could get tired of me? Like, yes. So it's been 60 days in this house. It's been a hell of a mess, as the narrator told us to start off the recap here. There's one veto left. It's up for grabs, and Arissa calls them to the living room for this special eviction. I don't know why it's special, other than it's on Wednesday instead of Thursday. Is that what makes it special?
They needed to dub it. Everything has to have some new branding, it seems, this year. So yeah. I guess
what is old is new, and special eviction is what this is dubbed. It's kind of just the final four step. Now, in most Big Brother seasons, as we've been talking about, this would happen like maybe on Monday or even last week, because this is the final week of the show. Yep. And they tend to usually like want to focus on the final three a lot more in these final days leading up. Not this time. Now we only get 24 hours with this final three, in comparison. But let's talk about how we get there and everything that came through in this episode. So we get caught up after the nomination ceremony where Tashawn had put Kiefer and Tara up. His stomach was turning. Kiefer's talking to Tara upstairs afterwards. He's like, "It's so great. No floaters are in the final four." He's right that it's an interesting final four.
It is.
But I would you could put Brayden and Tara in a floater category.
They haven't been playing hard the entire game. They kind of did, drift in a water situation where there was buoyancy involved to a certain part of the game.
Right.
So if they don't want to put labels on it, we can at least use descriptive terms to, describe their path to the final four.
Yes. I don't think there's anything wrong with being a floater, although it's often seen by that way by certain players, but there are no goats here.
Yeah, I would agree to that. Each of them have something that they could explain to a jury and possibly convince them to give them the money. So that's more than a Raven can do, a Victoria could do.
Yeah, right. There
have
been players who just get carried to the end, which I think is more what Kiefer was talking about. But that's not. I think it's just the use of the term floater is one of the most underused or misrepresented terms maybe in all of Big Brother across the various countries that play.
Although Backdoor is creeping up on there.
There's
no such thing as a backdoor when everybody's playing in the veto.
I told you it's the screen door.
Yes, screen. That's right.
Right. Yeah. So sometimes the recruit players, they get these terms confused. So she's, but this is Kiefer's trying to do his work with Tara because she could be the one vote to save him. Ends up being that way. But it could also have been Brayden who could have been making this decision. And
True.
Who knows what he was selling to Brayden. We didn't get any of those edits. And then we get to the veto comp pretty quickly in this episode. It's this kind of like a Daily Planet, a Superman theme, like 1940s style kind of film noir. They called it Code Veto was the name of the challenge.
Okay.
And
which is great, and great for the BBCAN themes. For those who don't know, Joe Shuster is Canadian, and a lot of early elements of the creation of Superman and Metropolis was based around his time in Toronto. So Yeah. If you
Yeah,
didn't know,
people like to say
now you know.
Metropolis is New York, but Metropolis is really Toronto.
Yes, it
You
is.
know, so take that.
Yeah.
Whoever
Superman's gonna
whoever
start
might.
saying mans. He's gonna start saying mans.
He's gonna say
Bear
Toronto
mans.
mans, Toronto
Yes.
Supermans.
Yeah, Toronto Supermans.
Yes, love it. So kind of a fun challenge. It was like they said, it's kind of like an escape room.
Yeah, it had that. It had that feeling about it.
Yeah, which I don't know if that cheapened it or made it better. Maybe
It's like, don't include that line.
don't include. Yeah, maybe edit that out. But you had to like get these stacks of photos, and then you had to put this clue board together. So this first part was kind of more mental. They're both kind of mental. The second part just a bit more physical, I'd say. Yeah, there's things you have to get like a key and find the right key to go in there. But after you finish the first part, then you're on the phone, and then there was like this. I don't know. I guess he's like it's supposed to be like Commissioner Gordon on the phone or something like that. It was some. I don't know. It was their announcer.
Yeah, they kind of mixed up. They mixed up their superheroes with that. It's like Superman has a red phone like Batman does with Commissioner Gordon.
It looked like the Bat phone, right? That was what they were kind of going for with this. Yeah. I love how Tashawn didn't know where the phone was. He couldn't find it, and Jane's yelling out, "He doesn't even know what a phone looks like, a real phone."
Yes. All that was needed was there to be a cord and him constantly complaining about why is this cord? I'm gonna trip on this. This is the dumbest
what is
thing.
this thing? You actually used this in your time? Is that how it worked? So what did you think about the second part of this competition, which was where they had to tear open the shirt and show the logo?
Let's talk about the first part. Look, I knew Kiefer was doomed. If you've been watching the feeds, Kiefer has been working on his dates for a long time. And unfortunately, he's been getting his dates wrong consistently. He's like 1 or 2 days off. So any competition that has dates involved, it's like he is done for, right? And
he knows what he needs to do, but he's not very good at doing it.
Correct. So for that part, and he also opened one of the cabinets that wasn't supposed to open. He opened the bottom one first, so he probably like hit it a little bit too hard.
Yeah, he's too strong.
Yeah, too strong. But the first part I thought was pretty clever. Very escape room-ish. But we'll get to that later on after the competition's done. You were asking about the part 2. Part 2 was, let's see, this was kind of built for women because women do a lot better in terms of observation. And as expected, all 3 men just like, there's a wall I can Kool-Aid man through. Oh, yeah.
The best version was Braden, who just went right through. Like, didn't even read it. Just thought it was graffiti or production design or something. I think, he just didn't pay any mind to it. Tara had an advantage here. I think being a woman and maybe having better powers of observation, I think is a good point. And her size here gave her this significant advantage in part 2, where she didn't have to knock out the entire wall in order to get through it.
She would have been 10. She would have been 10 minutes if she didn't rearrange it the wrong way.
Right. If she hadn't made that one mistake where she got the one block kind of backwards and had to kind of figure that out, because she did it in 16:10. We didn't get Kiefer's time because I hate how
he did 25.
He did 25?
Yeah, he took, I think he was 9 minutes behind her.
Okay, so she won handedly. Okay. Right.
She whooped that man's butt. She whooped all of their butts.
Yeah, like Tashawn was 31 minutes.
Jeez. Dude.
Right? Like, how long was he looking for that phone for?
That's the question. Because I think everyone had the same amount of time. Kiefer, Braden, and thing at the latter part. I think that's where he lost his time with that phone.
In the first part?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was also struggling to find the right cabinet to put the key in for a long time.
Yeah.
Because he saw like he went to the right cabinet, but he didn't actually put the key in. He just like, he didn't even really try to put it in. And he moved on. So he was going too quick. And then Kiefer, he wasn't that great on his turn.
Heads up, potential girlfriends. You should watch out for that. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, Kiefer didn't even know that he won. He was HOH after he won the veto or whatever it was, right? Or whatever the detail was, he didn't know. He didn't know himself.
He did the other things first, so he was left over with one extra one that didn't make any sense. So that's why he had that issue, because his dates were wrong.
Right. Yeah, his dates were. Like we said, he's just not as good at this as even though he knew kind of what he needed to do here. Yeah, so Tara wins this by 9 minutes. She was crying. Were you happy for Tara?
Yes. Until she started talking. I'm sorry, folks. Like, she should be proud, but like, enjoy the moment. But like, I don't need the extra commentary, right? You could say that in the diary room. Like, if I'm standing there and you beat me, this is for all little girls. I'm like, come on, man. No. No.
Yeah, question about that. For all the little girls, does she mean all the short people
girls, yeah.
or the young girls, like the young children?
It could be both. Like, she's an example of like, mothers can do anything.
Was anyone questioning that they couldn't?
You know how some people feel about mothers, right? Mr. T had to do a whole song about mothers, honored their mother, man. It's an awesome track. Folks, look it up.
Did Ty question here is, did Ty not want to win this veto to not have to hurt his jury vote? I don't think so. I think he wanted to win this.
Yeah, I think he wanted to win. He wanted to ensure that Braden was taken.
Yeah, no, he wanted. Everyone knew they had to get Kiefer out. Tara obviously knew it too, but struggled the most with this decision. Yeah, so Kiefer comes in almost right away, right after she wins, after she has a little bit of moment upstairs. Hey, congrats! Like, respect whatever you do. He kind of doing his normal Kiefer work. He plants that seed, and we're just here wondering, who will Tara choose to vote out between Braden and Kiefer, right now that she's put in this position?
I'm surprised no one tried to convince her not to use the veto. Hey, it worked before.
It would work before. If only Jensen was still here. Yeah, that was something. And then we pretty much go right to the vote. Like, this episode, it was an hour, right? But there's not a lot that actually happened.
The vote didn't go until, I think, 10 minutes to the end of the episode. It was like, they did the jury segment. You didn't include that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I skipped over the whole. I was like, what happened tonight? Is there no show? Oh, yeah, the jury house. Okay, so Beth reunited with Tara, with Jed. That was like, yeah, we hold on. We know what you need right now. You need a little rain kiss.
Oh my god.
No rain kiss. Never heard anybody.
Cutest man in the world.
Yes, the romance is reunited with Jed and Beth. Were you just? This is everything you ever hoped for? Was this as good as The Notebook?
I was hoping more Victoria snarkiness. I was hoping that she would just be there, just cutting this woman up.
We didn't get a lot of that.
We didn't.
A little taste maybe. We saw here that Rohan he's working on the guns with Jedson.
Zoom in
on the sweater, right? It's obviously like it seems like Tina, and Victoria and Rohan, quite a trio in that jury house. And now that Jed has Beth, I imagine that's probably the dynamic of the house at the moment.
They're going to be at the dock, Jed and Beth, and they're going to be sitting in a chair, kissing like they're Joey and Dawson. And everyone's going to be like, barf, barf. Everyone's going to be at the dinner table playing Skip-Bo, right? Going, where's Jed and Beth? And the response is going to be, who cares? Right? It is, honestly. And you know what?
They had this whole week with Jed, right? I'm sure they had a lot of conversations. Jaemeel from BBCAN here says, Tara is not Jed or Marcellus. She was going to use the veto. LOL. Are you following that?
Yes, I do.
Who's Marcellus?
Marcellus was previously the dumbest person in Big Brother history, who won the veto and decided not to use it.
Yeah. Tara, don't use the veto. Leave yourself on the block and hope that Braden does the right thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what that
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense.
Like Bean, yeah, you're right. We know. I was saying it more in jest. Um, I could see someone making that joke, and production's like, "Don't you dare joke about that. We we don't want that kind of foolishness of Final Four. We want it. We want our
Strong
look.
game players.
It's when Tara won. I think that the scripting of the episode was pretty straightforward. It did not make any sense for her not to vote out Kiefer. I know I said that last episode. I know what I said.
You were like, well, maybe, Dave, maybe. And because you had planted that seed in my mind, I'm sitting there the whole night. I'm like, she better vote out Kiefer. She better vote out Kiefer. She'll be insane because I have Tara and Tashawn in our little draft. And Kiefer's, I've been kind of cheering actively against him for a while. So all these kinds of things.
I like Kiefer, but no way, man. Like she would be like, it would be up there in dumb moves to let this man continue through. And I think that they did a good job of presenting Keith's softer side. They didn't make him look like an idiot. As I was mentioning, where he was like, I'm gonna respect you, do whatever. I would love that you would take me. Yeah, just vote me out. It's fine. They didn't have any of that, and thankfully they didn't, because that would have been just like, don't be an idiot, Kiefer. Just leave the door open. It was
Right.
bittersweet. I'm happy for the final three people. I'm sad to see Kiefer go, but Kiefer's winning that fan choice award. Like it's either Kiefer or Braden. It's either those two.
So good point. Because I did want to talk about Canada's favorite house guest, which they did plug. I think at the very end here, go on BigBrotherCanada.ca to vote for that. I better do that before I forget. I definitely want to. I definitely want to vote in this as well. Jaemeel, who has your vote?
Is Kiefer, obviously. I think he did what he needed to do to make sure that he won, and that is, indicate that he's a family man, indicate that he represents a specific, demographic, and a BB fan. He didn't like throw anyone under the bus, so people are not going to say he's a bad person. Right, so I think that he has a strong resume to get that fan choice award. If not him, Braden, because like, what people are gonna vote for Rohan?
The Roe Show, baby. Come on.
Tina, Victoria, maybe because she burned.
I am so good at this game.
Victoria was just too much of a wild card. People would like to see her play again. They wouldn't necessarily say that she was the best person this season. So I think it's pretty, for me, my perspective.
You know what? Like, I think we should actually. I'm gonna cast my vote live right here on the show, Jaemeel.
I'll do it too.
Let's do it and bring it right up on screen. These are the choices. Do you think anyone's voting for Julie?
I bet there are going to be people voting for Julie. Just like people voted for Jody.
I feel like Josh maybe deserves a vote.
I do miss Josh. I know
That's a little sus.
I know I kind of said some things earlier, but I do miss Josh.
If you wanted best friends, I don't know, go to daycare.
Go to daycare. Okay, well, you know what? Like, I'm looking at this, and there's no one else I can really vote for beyond Kiefer. Like, I'm sorry.
Not Braden?
He doesn't have my vote over Kiefer. Like,
okay,
and he's in final three, so Kiefer deserves it. So
yeah,
Kiefer's getting my vote. I'm not a robot. Don't worry. And with my vote, I'm sure Kiefer is completely
all right.
solidified.
So with mine,
you're going also, Kiefer as well. If he
Kiefer
doesn't win this, it would be a shock.
Yeah, I would agree too.
Did you see that Kiefer was honored in the House of Commons?
Yes, I did. I did as well. I sent it to the group.
Yes, you did. Okay, I couldn't remember who had sent that my way. Yeah, Kiefer was honored in the House of Commons, which is, if you don't know, the government of Canada. That's our House of Representatives, and his member of Parliament for his region, a member of the New Democratic Party, I believe, whose name escapes me right now.
They would be NDP area.
Yeah, that'd be an NDP up there in the Haida Gwaii region. Yeah, so kind of just like, hey, we got this, great guy representing the Haida Gwaii community, and et cetera, and good for Kiefer. I think with that little plug and just he's been a great cast member of this season. Like, even though I didn't want him to win and I was actively cheering against him to the very end, I don't dislike him per se, but where Kiefer lost me in terms of hoping for him to win was like just how tight he was with the Sunsetters, and how he never really kind of
he should have never put himself in a position to get voted out. And the moment that he just stopped listening to other people tell him obviously what was going on, and he let himself get in a position, and like, dude, like,
remember when he was like,
"Don't call me a coward, Tara."
Are you playing right now?
Are you playing right now?
Look, Kiefer was a very interesting player that I enjoyed watching. Is he the best that Canada has to offer? Far from it. But if there were an international Big Brother where it was like Canada and USA, I would love to see Kiefer compete again.
Absolutely. Kiefer was he had a lot of strong qualities as a Big Brother player. He doesn't look like an average Big Brother player either, right? He's not like this recruit, even for a super fan. He's very unusual, right?
And he's not nerdy. He's not like I shouldn't say nerdy, but like the traditional demure glasses dude that you see.
Yes,
right? Like
absolutely.
a Steve Moses.
He's not a Steve Moses. He's not a Johnny Mac, but he's something different. Like, he's hard to compare to any other Big Brother player that I've watched recently. Anyway, so let's eulogize here with Kiefer, and this is our little draft spreadsheet here, so you can see. I'm gonna zoom out a bit. Kiefer was not. What was he? Kiefer went 4th, taken by my wife Jane.
Good choice.
Who was last evicted? Beth, right?
Yep.
Yes. So I need just to copy that over. I'm sorry. And boom. So this was day 69, I believe, right? And
I think so, yeah.
Kiefer will be officially 4th place and is our 6th jury member. Our final jury member will be announced. And just to kind of look at who's left, so we're going to take Kiefer off the board now too. And you can see here that in terms of the 8 of us who were drafting in this, we didn't do so well, because most of the people we thought would do well, like Austin, Latoya, Kiefer was an exception, but like Julie, Josh went 6, Tina, then it was Ethan, Kyle, this was Braden was our last pick. Nobody wanted to touch Braden, and here he is in the final 3.
So right on, Sean. Right on. Sean realized that Braden and Austin were a pair, and looks like he might be striking gold.
Yeah,
it's
just
you and Sean.
Right, I have to Sean and Tara. Now Tara was voted up but came back, and then we have Sean, who he had the first pick, so he got stuck with the last pick. But hey, that worked out.
Yep.
So let's just take Kiefer off the board. We got some comments here too. Kiefer is a member of Canada's Parliament, similar to a USA congressman. What do you call a member of Parliament? Kiefer is not a member of Canada's Parliament. What I was saying was that his member of Parliament, that's what you call them. A congressman in Canada is called a member of Parliament, and or MP for short. And so his MP was.
I'm going to fact check just to make sure.
Make sure Kiefer is not a member of the House of Commons.
Make sure, because
okay.
It's like, wait a second.
He goes, why would Kiefer not mention that? Because he's not. He maybe one day he'll be a member of the House of Commons, but as of right now, I don't believe he is.
I think he might be able to do well for himself in that respect.
Actually, I think he would. He's obviously a public figure. He's got to know if he was ever going to run for office, this is the time. He's never, that guy that guy from the NDP better watch out that he's challenge him in a primary. Or maybe he'll run for another party.
It's like it's like, are you going to do what you said you're going to do? Are you calling me a coward?
Are you calling me a coward, Tara? Don't effing call me a coward, Tara.
He's a radio host, so I'm not.
Yeah, he's a radio host, and like I think Kiefer has been a lot of fun. But he's been my heel for a little while. Was there we didn't quite finish it. Was there anything else on the jury house that you wanted to touch upon before we kind of talk about the final moments of the episode?
They did not talk about like anything game related. They focused primarily about about Beth and hoping that she's the next evicted. Her showing up. Her and Braden's, Jed's relationship, and then Rohan working out, and that was basically our entire segment.
Well, and just the other thing I noticed too is just Jed just never gets it, right?
No.
You know, where he's working out with Rohan, and he goes, Rohan, who are you hoping shows up next? He's like, well, one of the trio, either Tashawn or Beth. And he goes, why? He goes, because I was trying to get you out, and I don't want you to win. I didn't want the trio to win, and et cetera, et cetera. And he goes, oh. Like I'm like Jed, why do you think he would not want? Jed just doesn't think like the rest of them do. I think is kind of the reality,
which explains his relationship with Beth. Who said that? What?
Yeah, I know his relationship. Like I'm like, really, Jed? You feel like he's like, I want to pursue this after this game. I think that he's doing that because he used this veto on her. He fell on his sword, and it was supposed to be an alpha move, if I recall, was the term. Where is it? We have to try and try.
Oh my gosh, it's an alpha move.
That would be an alpha move. That would be an alpha move.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Jet. Okay, let's get back here. So
yeah.
We get this. We get back inside. It's right after they've announced it. Or like Arissa gave them the news that the eviction was going to be whenever they taped this. I don't know. It wasn't today. It might have been today. I don't know. And so Tara was talking to Ty in the OLG room. He's like, what should I do? And Ty's we're getting intercut with these diary room sessions where he's like, I don't want to tell you too much. And he's even saying that in the room. He's like, if I push you in either direction, I don't want to say something and you do the opposite, I guess, is kind of what he's afraid of, right? And so she's like, won't leave the room. What do we do? And then he's like, if you know what it comes down to it, you have to get rid of Kiefer. Like, of course you have to get rid of Kiefer. And she's like, but we're both parents.
I hate that excuse. I hate that.
Maybe Tashawn will be a parent next year for all you know. Like it's kind of irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
Like we talked about this. Like,
what if he has massive debt? He might have massive debt and could be a missed paycheck away from being homeless. We don't know what people's situations.
But does he have a kid? Does he have a kid, Jaemeel?
Tara could have a kid and like have like $30,000 in the bank and be perfectly fine. Right? She still has a kid, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's better or worse than someone else. Like Ty could have a cat. What if the cat is sick and needs surgery? Right?
Yeah.
Like we don't know what people's situations are. So for us to try to pick and choose what situation is better than others or more deserving, no, that's unfair. What is the only thing that you should be judging is based upon who has played the best game.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to like whatever your values are, right? And so some people do value it, and like Tara seemed like she was struggling with that a little bit. Like I don't agree with it either, Jaemeel, but like it's been part of Big Brother and Survivor since the beginning.
Yeah,
right? It's all.
I'm just saying what I would argue if I was going against her. And she started saying, well, I have a family. It's like, congratulations. That is your decision. Why am I being punished? I think I played a better game. So just because you played one that was slightly less than mine, you get the bonus because you have a family. You decided to be a breeder. I'm sorry. That's not my fault. That's yours. Of course, I wouldn't say it like that because I also
breeder,
don't
just take it down. All right. Yeah, you made your own fan club. I get it. All right.
You're a virus.
So Braden goes in to talk to her after this, right? And he's saying like, you're better for my game. I'd rather be next to you to the final two. Oddballs to the end. Obviously, this is a misgiving, right? And so, okay, even knowing that Ty and okay, here's really Tara's dilemma, right? She knows that even if she knows for sure, Ty and Braden are going have each other in final 2 and are going to take each other. I still think it's the right move to cut Kiefer.
I talked about it. I feel like if we're being honest with the statistics, right, and the mindset of peoples that we currently know, I think that it would have been better to keep Kiefer if we're talking about guarantee getting to the end. But that being said, the smart move is voting Kiefer out.
Okay, but you're not guaranteed to get to the final 2 even. Well, you have a
better chance.
You have a great
Better
chance. Okay, so let's say she cuts Braden here, all right, instead of Kiefer. So it's her, Kiefer, and Tashawn in the final 3. If Kiefer wins, he's probably going to take Tara.
Yep.
But not 100%. Like he might change his mind and figure out he can beat Tashawn in the end, right? But he's not likely to do that because of the because of the trio and different things. Okay, so let's say so that would almost guarantee Tara final 2. But Tara's not here for second place. Tara is here for first place.
Correct.
Right?
You're right.
And so if she wants to win the game, she has leaving Kiefer on the board guarantees
everyone's going to question. Everyone's going to question it. So if you do not win final 2, and you're kind of leaving too much up to chance. Final three. I mean,
right in the final 3. Because if Kiefer takes you to final 2, you get second place. Okay, and you get I think it's like $20,000 you get, or right.
20,000 plus your stipend.
Plus your stipend, and everything there. So, but if you want to win, you have to get into the final 3, and then she has to win outright now, right? For her to actually win. She doesn't know that, or she doesn't really understand that Braden wouldn't take her, but she shouldn't really be counting on that anyway.
Yeah. With the information that she had, Kiefer makes the most sense.
Right. And Kiefer, she's like, "Would you hate me if I cut you?" Afterwards, he's like, "Yes, but I wouldn't hate you."
But I think that's an honest. I would feel a certain type of ways, and when I get perspective, I know that I would find understanding with the decision and it makes sense. I will just be very disappointed.
I no longer buy Kiefer's emotional bit.
All right, so she's not been again, and Kiefer does mention it here. My biggest mistake was cutting you in the double,
which I hate that argument, because the understanding that was had was that the understanding that was had was it was Ty's HOH and they were going to follow his direction. If Kiefer voted to keep Tara, it would have been just for showing face, and they would have looked to taking him out.
Yeah.
The first.
Okay, so I acknowledge he didn't have much choice there. Right. He was kind of, but at the same time, it did bite him, because Tara went out. She came right back into the game, and she's made it to final 3, and he hasn't. Right.
Yep,
so,
true.
But it's one of those things, how could he have predicted that buyback at that exact time?
You never can.
Right. So you have to almost play the game with the perspective that anybody you're voting out could come right back right at any time. You always have to be prepared for that possibility.
Yep.
Right. So when you're screaming things like "enjoy jury, Beth," or whatever,
Enjoy jury, Beth.
that's hey, she could come back in. She could be in the final 3 for all you know. She could be sitting next to you at the end. She could be in the jury.
Yep.
Well, she is in the jury. But anyway.
But she could be the deciding vote.
She could be the deciding vote at the end. She could be that Sue Hawk vote.
Yep.
Okay, so we eventually get to the vote itself. They both give speeches. Braden's speech was I give it a B+. Kiefer was already crying, and then we kind of knew. This is when we knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kiefer didn't, he was fine, but it was kind of an exit speech. I was so happy I was here. I got to represent. She voted him out. He didn't give her much of a hug. He was a bit of a bitter.
Well, he it's not like he lied to her. He said that he's gonna feel a certain type of ways, but eventually he'll be, okay. He's gonna praise the hell out of her in the jury house for sure.
For Tara?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, even though he hugged Brayden and say, go get this, and then he hugged Ty and says, it's yours. Perspective away from the house, he'll come.
Right. And the fact that Tara is also the only woman left in the game, too.
Yeah. She was the one who voted out the best player in the game.
Question here. Do we believe that Jed and Beth will vote as a unit?
Yes.
I think that's fair to say. I think that Jed will just tell her who to vote for.
Or Tara will tell him.
Beth?
Beth will tell him to vote for Tara.
Yeah, I think because she took him out, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I think that there's definitely that. So if Tara's in this final too, she is a legit threat to win this game.
I think so. Absolutely.
And maybe one of the best since Gary Glitter in terms of buyback people.
Very true. Well, Gary didn't win, so if she wins, then she.
But he should have won.
Shoulda, coulda.
Didn't, but would have won if his friend wasn't an idiot. Topaz.
Jed was getting that Topaz energy.
Yeah. Wasn't her real name like Emerald, but she went by Topaz or something like that?
I don't know. I have not revisited that series since the original.
Since 9 years ago? I think that was the case. Yeah. Okay. And then Kiefer says, peace, love, peace, and Ulican Greece on the way out. So what happened? Did they all decide early on when they put in the house, like when you get evicted, you have to say something to like the house from the balcony, and like
I guess so. It's kind of lame.
It's been like this tradition for this whole, and we can never tell what they're saying.
Yeah,
not in Kiefer's case, but like when Josh did it, I don't even know what he said.
I think he's like, if I blow up the house, don't hate me. I think, or something like that.
Is that like in there?
I don't know. I honestly don't care. I'm
work on these. If you're gonna do this, like it's not a terrible premise, but like work on it more, guys. Like come up with something funnier. Okay, next question. If Tara wins, will she be the first first evicted house guest to win?
Yes.
In all of Big Brother?
No, in someone won a buyback and came back and won, I think. Let me fact check it. Give me a second.
Yeah, not that I can't recall one. Gary Glitter from season 1 of Big Brother Canada. He was voted out. He left for like a week. It wasn't like quite like Tara never really left the set, right? She walked, she got voted out. She walked into the HOH room and back in. So it was kind of a revolving door for her versus like somebody who leaves for a more substantial amount of time, or gets put into like, there was that one year they put them in like this room where they could watch for a week, but they didn't know they could see them, if you recall. So all these situations.
Victor came back, but I think Victor lost.
Victor came back twice.
Jeez.
He won 2 buybacks that season. I remember like Judd in season 15, like he did okay. I think he got to final 4. But not generally, no. Like these buyback people are usually considered to be damaged goods because they've been voted out. They don't deserve it. They're not, and similar things happen in Survivor. Like the exception maybe being Redemption Island in Survivor, because that is the whole idea of Redemption Island was you get voted out and come back in. That's the redemption, right? And I think Ozzy won that one, right? So it's But generally, what the trend you see is that these
Ozzy was purposely voted out so he can return back. I think he got voted out twice.
Yeah, he's like, vote me out so I can go to Redemption Island, right? Yeah. So I think it's an exception to the rule. It's not the rule.
Yeah. He had no chance of winning that. Unless he won out, there was no way he was going to win.
Yeah. I want to talk about the different jury scenarios now that we have our final 3 and kind of what this final 3 looks like. Lastly, like just the exit interview with Arissa and Kiefer. How'd you feel about it?
It was what I expected. They love Kiefer. They continued that narrative and set him up to win the fan vote.
Yeah. Well, we just voted for him.
Yeah. Well, I didn't need that. I kind of skipped over that. I didn't particularly.
Yeah, it wasn't that exciting.
New information that was provided.
Like compared to like how Julie Chen is in her exit interviews, Arissa just is like, I love all of you,
Yes.
like, and Julie Chen's willing to like put them more on the hot spot.
Yes, and some people more than others. I think because she's a producer, now it's even more so, where she's kind of involved in, like, these are the people that I was involved in choosing.
In Rissa's case, you mean?
Yeah, Arissa's, yeah.
Right.
Arissa Cox!
You can't really separate yourself, right? These are people you picked, right? And you see people reacting to them. You can't help but, like, they're my babies. They're my children.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough. What would shock you about tomorrow, Jaemeel? Question here.
If Ty won.
Would a unanimous vote shock you?
If Ty won. That would be the most surprising. A unanimous vote, I don't think would be surprising at all.
But if it was unanimous vote for Ty, just the idea of Ty winning. So you feel like Ty is the least likely to win. But okay, you might be onto something because he probably has the weakest argument because he won the fewest amount of competitions, but he stayed off the block. He was always good with everybody. He had a strong alliance. He's the only surviving member of his alliance left, right? Of that whole Sunsetter group, which was so dominant. The rest of them aren't here. So I think he has an uphill battle in a lot of ways. However, he won some key things at the right time, like the other two did. If he's the final HOH, I think that only adds to his resume.
I agree.
But he'll be judged heavily based on who he chooses to sit next to.
Even more so than anything.
More so than anything. Like, do you want to sit? And if he's sitting, he's planning to take Braden.
Dumb decision.
I think it's actually, it doesn't seem like the right move for him. Actually, might be better to take Tara because Tara was voted out, and I think there's more of a case against Tara in that way.
Yeah, say, I did whatever I had to do to get to the end. I eliminated all my all the people I worked with. Even Tara, she was gone, and she came back on a twist. All right, so that doesn't, that shouldn't count for much.
Let's talk about maybe the most interesting scenario, which I think is Tara versus Braden in the final two.
Yes. Let the tears run.
Because I think that's a tougher choice for this jury. How do you decide which game is more respectable? And I think it's a different answer for each of these jurors.
Yeah, I would agree to that.
Yeah, so in the case, so let's look at who the jury is. Okay, so if it's Braden and Tara are the options. Now Tashawn is a jury member, right?
Yeah.
He's who would he vote for? Probably Braden because he's closer to Braden.
Yeah, Braden.
Okay, then our next jury member, let's say, is Kiefer. He's been pretty consistent. I could see him voting for Tara in that situation.
I can too.
He's never been that close to Braden. Right. Okay. So that's kind of a tie vote so far. The next jury member would be Tina. Tina gets Tara's vote in that scenario, probably. Beth. Who does Beth vote between Braden and Tara? Tara. Okay. Jedson then probably votes along with. Okay. So Tara's looking very good here. And then Rohan's the only other vote.
Yeah. Which I think he might vote for Tara.
Okay, so it seems like Tara beats Braden in the end.
Yep. Unless Braden wins final HOH and looks dominant.
Okay, so let's say Braden wins final HOH and then cuts Tara, takes Tashawn. Right? He'd need more than one vote because he only got one vote in our hypothetical against Tara. Right? So he's against Tashawn here.
I think he gets all the votes except Kiefer.
Who goes to Tara?
No, goes to Ty.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's Ty and Braden. Sorry, in this situation. Yeah. So Tara would vote for
Braden.
For Braden. So you think even Beth and Jed would vote against Tashawn?
Yeah,
because they feel betrayed. They're salty about it. They're bitter jurors.
Possibly. Like Beth felt very negative towards Ty as she left the house.
Right. Tina, kind of a wild card vote, maybe?
Yeah, wild card. I don't know. With Kiefer there, it seemed pretty cut and dry.
I forgot about Victoria. We didn't mention Victoria in any of these scenarios either.
She's gonna flip a coin. You don't question chaos.
Yeah, she's chaos Victoria. You can't predict what Victoria will do.
She's like, I vote for Arissa. It's like Arissa's like, I don't have a key option.
Can I get out Latoya again? Because that was my favorite thing when I got Latoya out. Is that
Latoya is a threat in this game, and I want this HOH to be meaningful.
Arissa's like, why do you have my key? It's like, Arissa, all my keys are your keys. I was just like, she starts pulling her hair.
everything is done? We need the Victoria quotes now. So many great quotes in the season.
She has a doll of Arissa, and it's like, Arissa, it's your real hair.
Everything that happens is so real. Nothing is rigged.
No one was
like the real hair. Yes. I don't know. Like
in interviews, Jed said he was not bitter, but come on.
He felt a certain ways, I think.
For sure. I know he said that. Jed, okay, Ty could get these votes in either scenario, depending if he's sitting next to Braden or Tara. Could he get the Jed, Beth, Braden, and Kiefer votes? I think Ty can get the Kiefer vote.
Yeah.
And I think he can get the Braden vote if Braden's sitting there.
If he wins final HOH, he has a very strong case, a much better case than if he gets brought. But once again, a lot of these people don't feel happy about the Sunsetters in general. You see how they just talk about, like, I'm surprised they don't turn their head and spit the way they act towards whatever the Sunsetters are mentioned. There's just some
Sunsetters for life.
Some nasty body language.
Well, they mentioned tonight that Tina was a Sunsetter. Do you know Tina was a Sunsetter?
Yeah.
And how that was going to play out? And that was kind of the conversation between Braden and Tara tonight, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, oddballs versus Sunsetters is kind of part of the story of this season. And we're the two oddballs left, right? He's
Very
the
true.
Sunsetter left, right? But Deshaun, or like, Braden has made up his mind here. He wants to sit next to, plus he kind of wants to marry Deshaun. He wants to have babies with him later on, and things like that.
Pastel princess.
I forgot about Vic. Everyone forgets about Vic.
Yes.
Ty could get Vic's vote too. Yes, I think that Victoria wants to vote for Ty, and then for Braden, and then for Tara in that order.
Yeah, she's chaos. She's chaos though, right?
Yeah.
So we don't know where the wind is going to blow.
But so is Beth. Beth is chaos.
But Beth is bitter. Like Victoria's been gone for such a long time that she kind of positioned a lot of her hatred just towards Beth. So will she rechannel it towards?
She's had a week to work that out with Beth, maybe in the jury house.
True.
We'll see how that plays out. Jaemeel, question here: what do you about Canada's niceness? Do you really think that they will be a bitter? Are Canadians? Canadians are not to supersede your question here, but Canadians are not nice. We are passive aggressive.
Yes. And then on the hockey, on the ice, we're challenging. We will challenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to hack the bone.
Yeah. Gordie Howe, if you look at old pictures during the Soviet series, his stick, he was going for crotches.
He hacked people. He broke people's ankles. It wasn't nice. It wasn't in the spirit of sport.
We'll say sorry about it.
Sorry.
Passive
aggressive.
Please enjoy your stay at one of our, federally funded medical facilities. I hope that they don't charge you because you don't have health insurance like every other Canadian, eh?
Yeah, exactly. That's how we roll.
Passive aggressive behavior.
Okay.
I was very snippy today. If people were watching us yesterday, in our D Space 9 at 9ish, I just recently got vaccinated. Part 1.
Was that today?
No, yesterday.
Oh, that was yesterday. Okay, sorry.
Yesterday.
Is that why maybe it was having a toll on you yesterday?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
So today I've been pretty energetic, I find, but snippy.
Yeah, they're enjoying the Canadians are passive aggressive. It's totally true.
It is true.
Our moniker of niceness is not earned. We're not outwardly vulgar. Is a better way of thinking of it. Yeah. And that varies by region. That's fine.
Toronto,
yes. Montreal,
passive aggressive,
the cities,
spiteful, And then if you want to see really a lot of passive aggressive and hatred, just talk to anyone who lives outside Toronto about Toronto.
Right.
They
Like I
don't
feel like
Toronto.
yeah, exactly. But the more I'm thinking about this, Jaemeel, like I feel like Tashawn and Braden is a toss-up.
It all depends on who wins final HOH, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If we count resumes right now, all right, then I think Braden wins. But like that HOH was just immunity. It wasn't any power. I don't think he's going to get any credit for it.
Plus, his
Right?
other HOH was the fake double eviction, which
Yeah.
won't count, right? Because Tara came right back in.
Exactly. That should be the immediate rebuttal.
It's
What
his
did
best
you
case.
do?
It's the best argument against Tara. And she was a floater or something, like not she was more passive. She was passive aggressive.
She was not involved in the decisions of the game for like the first 30 something days.
Right. I think the announcer told us
TNT ran their show from the sidelines.
they were just Statler and Waldorf and the Muppets.
Yes.
Tina and Tara up in the corner making like that's so dirty. That was kind of them for the good portion of this game.
Yes. Unless we not forget that Tara was also driving everyone insane by commenting about how dirty people were, how they weren't making up their beds the way that she wanted them, how she didn't like how people left dishes, and was really nagging. She was really nagging for, I don't know if those feelings still remain, but it was there. It was there.
Yeah, and like we've said that Beth and the trio weren't big fans of her. They were like looking to get rid of her even before the jury started. They were really itching for her. And then once they got into jury, she kind of sort of became a lower priority, and she kind of skated by for a while because there were other targets. So sometimes you do just have to get to jury and sort of then navigate your way through things, and maybe even turn it on at that point in the game. But you still also have to make you have to make sure that the people, as much as you can, that you're in the end game with, in the jury phase with, are people that are good for you, right? That's sort of like, I think that's how you have to think about it.
I agree. 100.
I had to look the term up. What, the passive aggressiveness?
Is there a Canadian right beside the picture? Right, the definition.
Is it Justin Trudeau? Is that who we would see?
Oh my gosh. Put all the political leaders in.
Canadians are not like this. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, like we're.
If you're not sure, I think you're fooled. We fooled you.
Yeah, I always get confused by this American sort of reputation for arrogance, maybe, or meanness. Like New York has that. City people sort of have that, but
New York has the like. New York, everything should revolve around New York to the a greater extent than when people get annoyed that Toronto people are like everything should revolve around Toronto. Like New York is worse.
Passive aggressive behavior includes avoiding direct, clear communication. Where very Canadians do that. Evading problems. Yep. Fear of intimacy and competition. Big time. Making excuses, blaming others, playing victim, sarcasm, backhanded compliments. Yep, that's us.
Yeah.
So we're like I think of actually Southerners as being much nicer. Like they were like
U.S. Southerners.
Yeah, American Southerners, like
there's a different type of passive aggressiveness. That's like the gift of the gab for the Southern. They'll say something nice, but it's like utterly vile and kind of could break.
But they say it in such a charming way.
Yes, I will agree.
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting. Different social dynamics and sort of unearned reputations in some cases. Okay. What else? Is there anything else you think you want to speculate on? Like, because there's only 3 of them. Normally in a Big Brother season, we'd be all week. We got these final 3. Who takes who? How does this jury vote? Now we have 24 hours. It feels weird.
We haven't even seen what part 1 looks like, and usually they give us a teaser part 1, so we're not even like, oh, this competition looks like it might favor Beth. So I would like to see that we could start speculating about what part 2 could possibly be and who is going to win from that. But we have nothing. We have nothing to speculate about. They have not told us anything.
Okay, like usually the first part is some kind of endurance of some kind. It's holding onto a rope. You might be being rained on. Is like they like to do that or make you uncomfortable in that part 1. There might be a wind machine.
But doesn't Tara win that automatically?
Not necessarily. Why? Why do you think she wins it automatically?
Because it's going to be less body weight to worry about. She is pretty fit in terms of I think she should be able to kind of take care of herself.
Jameel's referring to the Southern term "bless your heart," which is not a nice phrase. Yes.
Bless their hearts.
Bless his heart. Yeah, apparently that's not nice. I don't get that.
It isn't nice.
Yeah. It means like hopeless case, right? Or something like
that. These wonderful people, they might not be the smartest, crayons in the box. Bless their hearts, they're not the smartest crayons in the box.
Yeah, he can't find his way in the world. Bless his heart.
Bless his heart.
Yeah, I hope
he tries. Bless his heart.
I hope God can sort this out for him because no one else can. It's kind of what's implied.
Yes. I think it comes down to Ty versus Jed in part 2. I'm sorry, Ty versus Brayden in part 2. And part 2 is usually the climbing puzzle thingy that they typically have.
Usually, like what day was this person or whatever. I don't get why that's always part 2 where you're put on this harness. I hate it. You're jumping up and down and you're putting things in and whatever it is. And
pressure cooker. Do pressure cooker damage.
Yeah, I want to see it. I keep saying bring back this pressure cooker competition, which you loved from many years ago.
Yes.
I want to see it. I want to see it played out. I'd like something.
Who wants it more? That you have a chance to win. Just do it. Let's see. It's an equal playing field. It's all desire and drive. Survivor doesn't do it anymore because Fireman what's his name? Yeah, Fireman Tom did 24 hours
on that post next to the younger guy, like his ally, who's I want to call him Ethan. I don't think his name was actually Ethan, but it was something like that. Ian, maybe it was Ian.
Something like that.
Yeah, and I remember, they were both standing on that log, over this body of water for like an insane amount of time. Where the rest of the cast and the crew was like, "Can we go back to the beach now?
Can we go to the bathroom?
Can we go to the bathroom?"
Did Jeff go and pee in the in the thing right there? Did he turn around and submerge himself and dry himself off? Because he can't leave, because what happens if someone falls off? Do they get back on, we're gonna retape it again?
Yeah, fall off the post again.
We gotta dry you first and then
depending on what it is, maybe Tara does have an advantage in part 1, but it depends on what it is and if it suits her body type or not. But most of the competitions this year, and I don't know if this is Arissa's influence as an executive producer or not, but they've been we said, players like Jedson and Ty, who are supposed to win all the competitions, and Kyle, who were supposed to be these dominant players. They weren't. All these competitions were kind of random. Anybody could win them, regardless of body type.
Do you think that's going to change the dynamic for Big Brother going forward? People are going to say, hey, don't vote for me out because even though I look alpha and I like taking off my shirts, because even though it's 9 degrees, it's still hot enough for me to show up with the cameras to be hot, right? I have to present this image, right? Don't vote me out, because
maybe I think it could have a domino effect. Not in the U.S. I think this would only affect the Canadian season, right?
Yeah.
Because not enough Americans watch the Canadian show, and but they might. I think that most recruits in particular tend to watch the season that came before them. So recruits next year might not be so inclined to think the next Jedson is going to be your best bet to getting to the end.
Correct. And they might have that alliance, and they're having all the strong guys doesn't necessarily guarantee anything, because we have to think about the end game, and we're looking at the people at the end, and some of them weren't part of a big alliance. They were under the radar. They didn't get much blood on their hands until they had to. So why am I going to put myself in a position where this group is going to be speaking for me, or is going to be representing me, and their performance can sink me. What if they get like I won't necessarily know if they're getting rid of me. I have less way to maneuver.
All right. He was saying like, BB wondering if BBUSA will be influenced by neutral competitions. Well, I think it would be a good thing, because what I think we saw in this season was that it worked out. We saw more unlikely winners, or like non-expected winners, to have power at very interesting times that shaped the way that how we voted out these 14 house guests, or I guess it would be the 11 that can't, minus the final 3, versus this last season of the US version, which Cody so strong.
Congratulations, Cody.
That's all we heard all year. He won the first HOH, and then he like it was just painful listening to him in the diary room, where he was like, if he had like the slightest obstacle in his way, like it was the end of the world, and he just had to complain and complain and complain about it. And you're like, Cody, like, I am so tired of hearing about this.
Yes,
and so, and to me, like, Jedson was kind of the Cody of the season, but then he was not as good, right? Like, he watched Dane and Anthony from Big Brother Canada 7, because Big Brother Canada 8 was basically a nothing. It was kind of and that in that season, the Pretty Boys, they created a dominant male alliance that was all of the strongest athletes, most coordinated guys, and they were able to dominate the competitions. And they had a couple ladies that were sort of hangers on, but they cut them when they wanted to. And so I think that's what Jedson watched the season. He's like, I want to play, and probably even the Cody season in the US, and said, I want to play like that. I'll get a strong alliance. A lot of recruits think like this. They tend to, and they always tend to work with people who remind them of themselves, right? That's just how it goes.
It's horror movie 101. Horror movie 101.
Can you elaborate?
Like, you see all the pretty people, and there might be one person or two people that are a little bit off, right? And that the main core of the pretty people are going to stick together, and that the odd people, in the unfortunate part for the pretty people, is they don't realize that the odd person is usually the virtuous one that ends up lasting longer.
Right. Yeah. In this season, that alliance, the Pretty People alliance, was the Sunsetters, but it interestingly included people like Kiefer and Tina, right? And that's what kind of made it different, because it didn't. We were expecting like Kyle and or Rohan to be in that group, but they weren't. Correct. And I would like to know more about that. I would love, like, would you love a chance to interview one of these house guests? Who would you want to interview?
I think I've been pretty nice, so that's okay. Outside of Josh.
Who we said was a serial killer or something like that.
I did mention that. Maybe not Josh. Even though I do appreciate Josh. I appreciate you, man.
Go to daycare.
Like, Julie, no. Even though I'm like, I picked you. You were my first pick, so I saw in you. I thought that you could have done something. Josh already said. LaToya, no. Victoria, I don't know if I have anything positive really to say to Victoria. I'm not to say that I'm gonna like just slag her or anything like that, but I feel like I would like to interview someone like, okay, Tina. I would love to get her perspective. I know that she didn't want to campaign, but I would love to get more perspective of what she observed throughout the season and how she felt about certain things, because she didn't necessarily always get a diary room to kind of express things as certain events were going on.
Not really. Her diary room sessions were few and far between. We didn't get a ton of insight into her gameplay.
Yeah.
She was just kind of like going with the motions, right?
Yeah. But she had so much information though. She had it from the Oddbill side, and Kiefer was relaying information to her.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she has one of the perspectives of what happened that a lot of people would kill for.
Of course it was. It's always worst case scenario when you need it to be best case scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to take to Tina. I would
how
talk to
about
any-
you?
You know, Tina's an interesting one to pick out of the bunch. Braden is somebody I would love to talk to, I think, because I think it'd be interesting to hear what he was thinking at different stages.
Okay.
I guess, like, to Sean, the people I wouldn't want to talk to, Beth, Jedson.
I look, I feel a lot of those, they're gonna be asked the same things, and there are gonna be other things that I don't really want to know that technically need to be asked. So, like, I don't even want to be put in that position to have to ask it. So that's why I would want to avoid kind of.
I'd love to talk to Tashawn and just find out what he thinks is real and fake.
Yeah.
Reindeer are real.
Yes.
Reindeer are real, Jaemeel?
They are.
Are they called the caribou?
No, caribou is something different.
No, it's actually the same.
I see. Look, you learn something new every day, and see the difference. Just because you assume something and then you're educated, you're like, okay, I did not know, hence my answer.
No, you gotta be like Tashawn. What? No, you're wrong, Dave, because I gave the wrong answer.
Right? Whereas he was like, he indicates that he doesn't know, but adamant that they're wrong, which is like, wait, what? Are you hearing yourself? What? Yeah.
Okay, before we sign off,
Yes.
of these final three, who do you want to win the most and who do you want to win the least in order? Who's your
Tara
hard
Braden.
pulling for?
Tara, Braden, Ty.
Tara, Braden, Ty. And I
I'll
agree
probably
with you.
change it tomorrow. But yeah.
Tara, I'm with you. I even though I have Tashawn and Tara, and I've never won a draft, so I'm never gonna have a better chance than tomorrow night, right? But even then, I still kind of want Braden to win more than Tashawn because I
Yeah.
just feel like Braden has a better story. I think he's a more interesting winner than Tashawn.
Yep.
And
no jury management by Tashawn. Why? It's so easy to do.
and he doesn't deserve it as much.
Yeah.
I think is really what it is, right? Like, yes, I respect the fact that he cut his alliance members when he did, and he changed from the Jedson mindset to playing for himself.
Mhm.
And getting things out, like getting Kiefer out here, you can't really give him the credit for it, yet he was part of it.
Yep.
Part of that move. So I think that, like, Tashawn's not the worst winner possible by any means, but he's just maybe the least desirable of these three.
Yeah, it's less sexy. He's less sexy.
He's less
of a
sexy,
winner.
even though he's got the abs and all of that thing.
This is David versus Goliath.
Yeah. An even better reason, because Tara and Braden are David, and Ty, is still a Goliath in some people's mind.
I think he's if you want to go back to that Survivor David versus Goliath, I think that Tashawn would have been on the Goliath tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what tribe Tara would have been on, but she should have been on the Davids. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it for this coverage of the Wednesday special eviction for week 10. This is our penultimate episode for the Big Brother Canada 9. We might do a final deep dive if anybody wants to, but otherwise, I guess tomorrow might be it. We're watching a 2-hour finale. It starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll finish at 10 p.m. So we'll be finishing and going on at the same time. Probably 10:30 we'll be starting, just so in case there's any beautiful sound bites, gotta have time to pull those in. Yep. So 10:30 will be our start time tomorrow. We're gonna find out who the winner is, and we're going to break it all down and finish up with our 30 podcasts in a row. We actually did more for Big Brother USA, but
yeah,
it's been a long road.
It's been
getting
a long
from
road.
there to here. Make sure to vote for Canada's favorite house guest. It's gonna be Kiefer, so maybe don't. Unless you're not gonna vote for Kiefer, and let's make it interesting.
Yep.
So, because they usually give us the top 3, so we're gonna find out all that tomorrow. Also, check out our other stuff here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting. We just did Marvel Cinematic Universe coverage. Jaemeel and I and Ashley Millard, we talked about Falcon and the Winter Soldier for 3 full hours. Why wouldn't you want to hear everything we had to think about that? Plus, like many weeks before that, we had talked about WandaVision after that series had wrapped earlier in March. And then we do other shows like we did the Netflix show called The Serpent. We covered that. We also covered Tiger King when that first hit. When that phenomenon hit in 2020, we talked about that too. We've done Big Brother. We've done other shows like Westworld. So check out all our stuff here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting. It's ever-growing catalog of podcasts to go with TV and movies and stuff like that. And then we also have Trivial Debates, our monthly show where we argue about TV, sports, movies, more. That's the last Sunday of each month, usually on a Sunday morning around 11 a.m. Jody Simpson, one of our great podcasters, will be hosting that next one. Don't know who the panel is yet. Got to put all that together. But that's a month away. So I'm still thinking about the last one. Featured my son, Eamon Mader, hosting it, who just got his vaccination shot yesterday too.
Nice.
So, there you go. And then we have Live Long in Podcast, which is our Star Trek themed channel podcast. We talk about Deep Space Nine every Tuesday night. We're watching every episode in order. We're doing season 3 right now. We're doing original series episodes on Wednesday nights with my dad, Ted, and a whole bunch of other panelists. We just did tonight. We did the Enterprise incident, which was where the Enterprise was surrounded by Romulans, and Kirk was getting Romulan ears put on him. And we had a packed house tonight, I'll tell you. And then Star Trek Radio Theater, which is our little project on the weekends. I think we actually don't know what night we're doing it next, but we're going to be doing Voyager's episode called Flashback, which is an episode with Sulu and Tuvok crossed over for the 30th anniversary of Star Trek. This is back from 1996. So anyway, we do script reads. We just did Samaritan Snare. The edited version of Samaritan Snare featuring Steve Shives is now up. And what a masterpiece it is, I must say. A masterpiece. French kiss from Picard. Okay. All right. And with that, thank you, everybody, for listening, watching. Thanks, BBean, for all the comments. And we'll see you tomorrow night. And remember, get the clip, Dave. I really got to hotkey that.
Yes.
I only have to play it one more time, right? So here we go.
And remember, someone